What's up, everybody? We're back. Real with Omar. The episode we don't even know anymore. I don't count them because I don't know what episode I'm dropping in what season. Sometimes I change sequence. I'm just being honest with you guys. Today's special guest, Sean Degman. Sean, thank you for being on the show today.
Appreciate you, bro. Happy to be here, man.
I'm happy you came. We did this. I had Dave Barriga, right? That's how we say his name?
Huh?
Regina. I did that last time. My bad. Dave Regina, my bad. I had him on last week, and then we were talking about off camera. We were like, hey, this is kind of where I'm going with the show in terms of quality and talking more about sometimes of emotional EQ. I do mostly business, but they're business people, but this is what I'm talking about. And he was like, oh, I got somebody for you. I want to talk to you. Da-da. So that might become a thing. Maybe you refer somebody I think you think should be on the show.
I'm a big referral guy.
Yeah, we'll think about that. But organically is the way it happens,
100%.
right? I posted something on Instagram the other day, and I put it out there. If you want to be on the show, hit me up. Mm-hmm. And the responses I got, no offense, I love you, all of you guys, but some of them I just wasn't. That's not what we're doing. It's not what we're talking about, right? Like some things I'm not. Hip hop beef, that's fun, but it's not for me. Sorry, you guys know who you are. Anyway, Sean, sorry, I went off on a tangent. Sean, we got a few things. We got the Sailmaker in Tarrytown.
Sailhouse.
The Sailhouse in Tarrytown, yep. Which is it seafood or is it?
Yeah, it's like a new American seafood style place.
Okay.
Right on the water, so kind of place like vacation vibes and
right.
You know, it's got that atmosphere.
When did you open that?
January 2023. I came in, so we're about a year and a half in right now. Okay. Me and a couple partners.
How many tables does it have?
Whew, God, too many. There's indoor seating. We seat about 90 or so. Okay. Outdoor, there's another 110 for our main dining section.
Okay.
And then there's space for another probably about 300 outside.
Oh, damn. So it's really big.
It's a huge patio.
Right.
So it's really which is why like on the Ace front, we're doing a lot of the outdoor workouts and stuff because it's a big space. So
don't rush me, man. We're getting there. We're getting there. I know what you did right there. But no, I want to break it down. So I also saw that you're doing the boat leaving your restaurant.
Paddle boat.
The paddle boat, right? Yep. So how many people get on a boat? Yep. How many? I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah. So last year, just the power of social media again. I was watching a reel, and it was Jean Munich from Low Hud Food, and she had posted this thing. I'm like, this is sick. I'm like, where is this at? This is down in Louisiana or something like. Right. And like, no, it's on the Hudson River. So it was the Paddle Pub Piermont, it was called. Okay. And my boy Chris Hickey, shouts to Chris, he just started this thing last year, and we had a kind of a weird weather year, but I was one of the first people to go on the boat. Okay. And we went on the boat. We had an awesome time, and it was like the paddle pub situation. It fits 12 or 16, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that ballpark. And
are people cooking on the boat, or it's all done already?
Nah, so So last year it was basically all BYOB, bring your own food, everything. It was just buy your ticket and go on.
Okay.
I became pretty close with Chris, the owner of Paddle Pub, over the last year, and we stayed in communication because it was a mutually beneficial value add. It was like, yo, you're on the river. You're right next to my restaurant. You're going back and forth. Westchester's got a bigger draw than Rockland does.
Right.
So let's figure something out. So we stayed in touch, and this year we're going to be the exclusive food and drink provider for the Paddle Pub.
Okay.
So we got different deals, all that stuff, but he'll be docking out of Tarrytown and Piermont. So
so he's you start the restaurant. You basically your menu's prefixed, right? Because everything has to be done before you guys leave.
Yeah, correct.
Right, and then you take your people, and then they go into the river. But is there a bathroom on the boat? That the number one question. The first question I had, I was like, yo, where they going on the bathroom? I guess they peeing off the boat. I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta hold it.
All right, so you gotta hold it. All right, so
guys, you're good. There's a lot of water around
Don't consume alcohol too heavily, because that's what happens. You break the seal, it's a wrap. But that's what I was thinking about. I was like, yo, where do they go to the bathroom?
So funny. It's a really good point.
That's the first question I had. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, look, man. I mean, how long is the boat? The trip?
2 hours.
Oh, yeah. That's a minute. That's a minute. Especially if you drink it. That's when it gets kind of crazy. All right. So that's that. You also have a commercial maintenance or cleaning company?
Yeah. Facility maintenance, commercial cleaning company.
What does that do?
Solutions, it's called. Started that in 2017.
Okay.
So
before COVID.
Yeah, it was before COVID. So it was really just kind of like a ground up operation where I had a lot of free time. So I was running produce for 9 years almost, 8.5, 9 years down in Hunts Point in the Bronx.
Okay.
So I was a foreman, a purchaser, seller, if you will, doing a lot of different things down there for a large wholesale distribution company.
So when you say you were a buyer, just to give people context, because I like to give people like saying, oh, how big is it? Well, it's bigger than Statue of Liberty. Like When you're buying, let's say, lettuce, what do you?
Yeah.
How much lettuce you buying in one shot? Just to give
A
people.
lot. So I was purchasing just veg for the division I was in, which was called Gotham Fresh.
Okay.
There was a fruit buyer as well. So just veg, what I was buying per week was anywhere from 250 to 300 grand a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
And what about weight? Can you equate that into weight or no?
Not really.
Tonnage or
We don't
something?
really do it by weight.
Just money.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's dollars, volume. You do case counts.
Okay.
All that stuff. So, long story short, I was working there straight out of college.
Okay.
And stepped into a management role. I was 22 years old, and I was
Young. Yeah.
Yeah, I was leading people that were 50 years
Right.
old, and which was a huge challenge for me, which we could touch on later. But it was a transition period for me of like I was this alpha male figure, if you will, growing up, the captain of the sports team, the macho guy.
What kind of sports? I know you did wrestling.
Football, wrestling,
Okay.
baseball, basketball when I was younger.
Every sport.
Everything. We did everything. I was skateboarding, played hockey when I was young. I did everything.
Okay. You did everything. So then you
Yeah.
come into this. Now you said later. We're gonna go into it now. So you go into this corporation, corporate America,
Yeah.
right? And you're dealing with different cultures, different ages, and do they give you training for that, or they just, hey man, go ahead?
Not much, to be honest.
Okay.
And no fault to them. I worked there for 2 summers before I graduated college.
Right.
So I had a background in the industry.
Kind of understood how it
I
worked.
knew the ins and outs of it for sure, but
Right.
leading the operation versus being a role player in the operation,
Yeah.
as we discussed on our,
Well, break that down. Let's.
it's
We're going.
very
We're going.
it's
we're
very
going.
tough.
Okay.
So I think for a long period of time, and this is with any industry I think that you're in, it doesn't matter if you're selling produce, if you're in mortgages, if you're in a restaurant. You have A players, you have B players, C players, if you will, role players,
Right.
and then you have the people that are leading the front.
Mhm.
From the outside looking in, leading the operation looks simple most of the time. It really does.
It's always, and I just want to add because I stand in that position myself. Like it looks glamorous.
Yes.
Right. And people always aspire, say, I want to be that. But when you peel it back, like when you actually have to do it, that's when you kind of see like there's different types of pain points.
Yeah.
Right. There's having a sore back because you lifted too much, and there's having a sore head because you're trying to navigate and still be respectful. And but at the end of the day, business is business.
Yeah.
And the numbers don't lie.
No.
If the company needs numbers, we have to do what we need to do,
Yeah.
regardless of our feelings.
Yeah, it's super difficult, I think, for people that have never been in leadership roles in a company, corporation, whatever it is, to fully grasp that. So what I would like to do with a lot of my people in the past, and what I try to do now, is I give them a little more responsibility, and
Right.
you'll be able to gauge who's able to take more on, and other people that say, whoa, this is more than,
It's too much. It's too much.
this is more than I wanted.
Not what I signed up for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's eye-opening, but it also gives a little bit perspective for people within the organization on your team to say, oh, I actually have a bigger appreciation for what the leader of this thing does now.
Right.
You know, and it gives them a little bit more insight rather than people not being in the know of what's really going on, just looking at, the guy signing checks, giving out money.
Yeah.
It's
Santa
a
Claus.
whole lot more than that. Yeah.
Santa Claus giving out
Yeah.
money. Well, what happens is going back into leadership, it's more of a you fall into these things like, and I'm speaking from experience, but I'm also speaking from observation, right? You have to almost objectively look at everyone and evaluate them, and I don't mean to say it in a like a scientific, superficial way, but us as people too, we inject or project our values onto others, thinking that they have the same values, and that becomes for me personally, that became the biggest thing. Like, oh, why wouldn't you do this? To me, it makes sense. And I'm like, it makes sense to me because I am wired this way, and understanding how other people are wired and learning how to get them to see it a different way without, I don't want to say hurt their feelings, but without basically telling them, well, your way is not going to work holistically, right? Like you're part of something bigger now.
Yes.
And I think that becomes the part of leadership where it gets a little tricky, but it's also fulfilling when you get somebody to understand, hey man, it's not just you. I know your girlfriend was mad at you and you're going to know whatever, like you had a bad night, or I get all that, but it's 9:00 on a Monday now, and then we got to go. Like
Gotta
this,
go.
right? We got to
Leave that crap at home.
flick the switch, right?
Yeah.
Flip the switch, and this is what we have to do at least for the next 8 hours. If you
Yes.
want to turn it off, but that becomes the part where I'll give you a really good example of this, right? So my mother passes away 3 weeks ago, right? I was dealing with it for a very long time, for years. But whenever it comes, that day comes, it takes your breath away. So my wife is doing everything in her power to keep me kind of, and this is me saying it now, not understanding it then. Kind of keep me in a routine, just kind of keep me moving, right? So I don't get kind of stuck and fall into the abyss. And I'm at this coffee shop, and you don't think about this, but this has come up more and more, so I want to talk about it. And when I say you, I mean me. I'm there, and the owner of the coffee shop comes, "Hey man, you're the guy from Instagram," and my mom died like 2 days ago. Like I'm like, what? But then you got to turn it on, right? It's not his fault, so you do what you can. But going back, I'm just using that extreme example of something I went through. Like he doesn't know, and I'm outside in public, right? So this is what people expect, and you got to give them that version of you, even though sometimes you don't want to be that version, right? Sometimes you don't have it. Sometimes you're like, just, and for those, for the advice part, the advice that the component to that becomes advice is simply, then I would stay home, right? Or stay private. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Control your environment, your surroundings.
Yeah.
You know what you want to expose yourself to.
And you dealing with a restaurant, I'm sure there's days that you're like, what the fuck?
Forget it. It's crazy. Even like the passing of, as we touched on, my father passed in November unexpectedly, and 2 weeks after he passed, I had this big event scheduled for a business networking event that I was hosting. I had vendors, I had all this stuff.
Well, speak about that. It's the shirt you have on.
This was actually different. This wasn't through Ace. It was a different thing that I was running. It was just really just like a business networking type of thing. And I've been doing stuff like this for like 5-6 years. Where I like connecting people. I want to just add value. And Ace has been the first thing that we've actually tried to monetize and put a real business behind. Prior to this, it's really just been, I want to help people, on whatever level that I can.
Let's put a bunch of good people together and see what happens.
Yeah, it's the best. Connecting people, it's awesome. So I had this thing scheduled for November 14th, and
that's my birthday. It was a good day.
That's crazy.
That's a good day.
Okay, beautiful. It's a great day.
Yeah.
So that was the first real test for me, I would say, after my father passed.
So he died like November.
13 days later. He was November 1st.
Wow.
And November 14th, I had this thing scheduled, and I'm like, do I want to cancel this? I'm like, I'm not ready to do this. Go face all these people. It was like 60 people or something. I'm like, you know what? I got to do this. Like, what am I put this thing on. Like, I got to hold myself accountable. I got to do this.
Right.
So that was the first test where I was at my restaurant, that I'm a partner in, and I'm hosting this event that I decided to do, and I had to flip that switch. The difficult part was that almost everyone knew that my father passed.
Right. So they all bring it up. Right.
Everyone's bringing it up.
And they're trying to be empathetic, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And they're doing their best. But for me, I had to put some level of protection, I guess I would say, like acknowledge it, appreciate, everyone's their condolences, all that stuff, but also don't spend too much time on that. Flip it back to what we're here to do. Yeah. I'm here to connect. I'm here to network, put people together, and I was able to do it pretty successfully. And for the whole night, I really held it all together. I got home that night, and I think I was in my car either outside of the restaurant or at home before I went inside, and I just tears, man. And I'm just like, God damn, that was really difficult. But in that 2-3 hour span, everyone's like, damn, he's dealing with this really good.
Right.
And for that time period, I was. And I think just to your point of you have to be able at times to flip that switch.
Yeah.
And because there's multifacets to who we are and what we're dealing with. And you got to be able to transition, even if it's in a moment's time.
We got to be so many different things to different people.
Yes.
Right? So I was a son, but I was a patriarch, meaning my mother was sick for years, so I became her father, right? But then I have 3 young boys, and my young boys are they watch my show, so they're 29, 24, 20. They're not young boys, they're young men. And then I'm a husband. And then I'm all these things. And look, I losing a parent, if you were close to them, is a big deal. And there's a time and a place to honor them. You give them grace. I believe if you remember them, they never die. Now with the internet, all this shit we have going on, at least my kids and my grandkids will be like, oh, that was grandpa at his best. That's the way 100%. I think about it, right?
That's beautiful.
Right, my grandfather, I have one picture of him from World War II. That's how detached it becomes. And I'm using that word on purpose because that's what you did. You had to detach for a second.
Yes.
Right? You had to almost look at yourself objectively and be like, hey, man, we're doing this. It sucks, but it's a really good thing. So let's do it, and then I'll grieve later.
Yes.
Right. Because there's a time and a place. For me, some people say, oh, how are you doing this? So I took a week. I took a week of just crying, like straight up. Just I had to accept it. That I think, and I'm not. I took psychology in college, but I'm not like any type of psychologist. Where there's steps to grieving, right? I don't know what step I'm in now, but I know the first part is accepting it, right? So the first week was a lot of crying and accepting it. Now it's it's a sad thing, but objectively, the quality of life wasn't there. Like, I'm not rationalizing that but I understand.
Yeah.
Like, I have to be like, hey, man, now you're kind of being like selfish. Like, now look at like going back to detaching and looking at it from the outside in. If that was you, would you want that? And then I kind of start, all right, so it was just time. It is what it is. Like, that's today. Tomorrow might be a whole different feeling, right? Yeah. So, yeah. But I want to talk about it a little bit only because everybody's going through shit, and sometimes people can't process it. And I think I don't want to say we lose them like lost soldiers in battle, but people get lost. People get lost, and I think people go on social media, especially for. I guess I don't want to say the highlight reels, but they want to say the other side, because there's certain people you speak to, they're in such dark places that no matter what, like I can say, yo, you just $1 million. Oh, I gotta pay taxes on it. Like that'll be that. I'm like, yo, bro, are you serious? Yeah. You still $700,000 like net ahead. Like I've had this conversation. That's why I have my response. Like, oh, you bugging, bro? Like
you'll find what you're looking for.
Yeah. And then what do you think? What do you think is that difference in people? Is it obviously there's something to do with your environment, right? We're all products a little bit of our environment.
Sure.
But you think it's the nurturing of parents, or do you think it's something that's genetic?
No, I think it's purpose and fulfillment.
Okay.
I think internally, you and people can look at us and say, oh, their parent, someone really close to them just died. They're dealing with this big life event. How are they able to continue on and move on? It's because we have something that is fulfilling us internally, and we have a bigger purpose.
Okay.
So for me, I feel that I'm here to inspire and connect and help others with their struggles and whatever they're going through. That doesn't mean I neglect my own.
Right. Doesn't mean you don't have any.
Oh, I have tons.
Right.
And this is something that Dave.
But that's important.
Yeah.
Right.
This is something that Dave and I are super transparent about. Is like we go through all this stuff the same way you guys do. Whenever we're talking to our groups, our dinners, our workouts. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I think people are able to connect with, because we're not sitting here from some podium saying, oh, this is us, we're doing this.
Yeah, we're the best. Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
We are all flawed humans. We're all dealing with this stuff the same way, but we have something bigger. And for me, myself, I'm a man of faith. Mm-hmm. I've got God that's guiding me. I have that purpose, that passion, that fulfillment of I got to go harder. And why? Because my father led a life of service, and this is what I'm meant to do, Okay. So I'm here to push that needle forward for others to experience growth and breakthrough. I think people that have a difficult time with it, they number one, neglect what happened. So whenever I was doing personal development speaking for like 5 years, okay. free paid speaking, going to colleges, going to small businesses, I did this for a long time. And one thing I would always tell them is like, you got to feel the pain. Mm-hmm. So you just said, I sat there and I cried for a week. Mm-hmm. That is so freaking important, because if you sit there and you don't feel anything, you're going to bottle it up, you're going to push it aside, and eventually, usually when you don't want it to, it's going to come out.
Right, it's going to manifest,
and at a bad time. Right. So I always would tell people, deal with the pain, feel the hurt, and at that point, you could get to a place of acceptance. Right. It's not that it's okay, it sucks.
Yeah.
But
I think the part you're saying is super important for people to understand, because us saying it is one thing.
Yeah.
But acknowledging that there is going to be still emptiness. It just, no, guys, I'm not great. Like, I mean, like, I'm not, like, you know what I'm saying? I am who I am. There, like you said before, there's still a hole there. There's a wound there. It's a scar. It's just started healing, but it'll be there forever, right? 100%. It's kind of use that metaphor, right? Like, it doesn't disappear.
No, and I think it's important to acknowledge that hole and that pain, because it's like that's an important hole and pain that you have there. Mm-hmm. But there's only two real ways to do this. It's you sit there in pity and you're in a deep dark hole, or you come out of that and you use it to propel you forward rather than keep you down.
Right. Right. And how do you feel? I mean, obviously we went speaking, and I feel like you go to colleges, you go to places, but I feel like going back to like I'm using Instagram a lot because lately things have been happening.
Yeah.
Had a guy hit me up the other day. He was like, "Oh, I saw you and your wife eating at." I'm not gonna say where because people show up. I saw you eating. I didn't want to disturb you. I'm like, "Yo, bro, you can always say what's up, right?" And I'm not trying to create that whole thing there. But going back to what we were saying is like, we all bleed, right? We all like, I use that because I believe it's a visual, right? We all bleed. We all walk wounded sometimes. We're walking wounded. We're just trying to figure out the best way to move forward. And then going back to purpose, I feel that if your purpose is bigger than just you,
Yes.
it becomes easier,
Mhm.
right? Like, I'm so much more motivated when I say, "Oh, my kids," or "my dad," or "my family," or "my family in Puerto Rico," or whatever. It's just always something. Not, "Oh, I want to buy a Bentley." Like, that's not doing it for me,
No.
right? Maybe when I was 18, 19, 20,
Yeah.
oh, I want to get a Bentley. All right, cool. But now it's like, yeah, we got that. Let's what are we doing now, right?
Yep.
What are we doing now? So how do people tap into that? Like, can you give people advice since you've done that?
Yeah. I think it's different for everyone. So I'm not going to say what, you should do X, Y, Z. What I will say is what worked for me and
Okay.
what has worked for a lot of people that, I've dealt with in these last couple of years is get still, get quiet. And I think in today's society, 2024 right now, like you said, Instagram, social media, all this stuff, it's just it's in your
So much
face.
data. Yeah.
It's everywhere. And especially if you're a guy like me or you, where you're running companies and you're doing all this stuff, you got to balance your kids, your wife, your personal life, your family. It's so much to balance. So for me, getting still and getting quiet, meditating. I do ice baths almost every day, 5-6 days a week. I get quiet. I pray. So these are things for me where I could start my day from a place of peace, intention, so I remind myself of my purpose, my intention, my vision, my passions. That starts my day with gratitude, So rather than coming from the place of I wake up on the wrong side of the bed and this sucks and that sucks, sure, you're always going to have those days. Let it be a short period of time. I allow myself 5 minutes, 10 minutes to feel sorry for myself sometimes. I'm pissed off, whatever it is. Give it a short period of time. So I like to tell people, get quiet, get still, and then figure out what fuels you, what motivates you. So for me, I have that passion of helping other people and serving and connecting, all that stuff. I need to do more of that if I'm in a shitty place. If I'm not doing that stuff, I noticeably understand that I'm not as happy as I am when I'm doing that stuff.
Okay.
So, working out, that's another passion of mine. So I love working out. And for me, it feels good for me to do that. For you out in the audience there, it might be sewing a blanket. It could be, playing chess.
Cooking.
Yeah.
Something therapeutic. Right.
Something that whatever makes you feel good.
That speaks to you. Yeah.
It's different for everyone. So, get still, get quiet, remind yourself of your purpose, your intention, your passions, and also do things that you love. Because whenever you're not doing that stuff, I'm sure for you, like if you have a good relationship with your family, your kids, whenever you're working too much, you're probably like, damn, man, I miss my son, I miss my wife, whatever. And then you end up doing that and you feel better.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're able to do whatever you're meant to do in life, your career, whatever it is, on a much higher level because internally you're feeling better.
Right. I feel that people talk about work-life balance, but I really don't believe that exists. I believe that there's a harmony, right? Like sometimes you gotta do stuff that makes you feel good. Like I go on vacation before I had to deal with a lot of emergencies, we would go on vacation every 4 months, like for 3 or 4 days, recharge, just because even though and I've had this conversation with so many people, I want to be on the beach making money. Bro, it gets boring. I've been there.
100%.
I've been on the beach.
Yeah.
You can only drink so much, and you feel like crap, and maybe it's just me, but then, the pursuit, I call it the pursuit of whatever it is, whether it's getting more in shape, whether making more money, building something, the pursuit is what keeps us going, right?
Yep.
And pursuit is a part of purpose, right?
Yes.
So they have to find that, and before people get crazy, being still means clearing your mind of everything else and just focusing on what it is you're doing at that moment. That's
Correct.
it. Like, I don't pray, I'm not this. I get, all right, man. Just think about one thing.
Go take a walk then.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
Just be.
Yeah.
Well, I feel that you have to be active because even myself sometimes, I have to say I have to do things like what I call calm the noise down. Because sometimes the noise builds and builds and builds, and you're like, and that's where overwhelming feelings come from. That's where the nastiness comes from. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, it all starts with the way you control the emotions because your output is a reflection of what's happening inside.
Correct.
Right? Like people, going back to what I said, like negative people, like, hey man, you want $1 million? Oh, I gotta pay tax. I'm like, what? Did you not hear what I just said?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't understand it. I don't want to say I choose not to understand it. I just say that I can empathize. I can't relate. And I probably will never relate because everything is an opportunity. Everything's an opportunity. I had I had my hips replaced last year. For 10 years. I had some stuff with my mom happening, like I said. So all my stuff had to wait. Like I had to deal with all this other stuff. But it got to a point where I was down in Massachusetts inspecting one of my buildings, and I'm limping. I'm like, yo, man, this can't be it, man. Like, so I finally carve out the time. I go see a general practitioner. I do the whole thing. She's like, what's wrong? I was like, my hip hurts. She goes, she tries a couple of things. And let me say this too, right? I love all the doctors I met. They're all cool. Shout out to Carl. He's my guy. But you got to look at your doctor too. Like when you see your doctor, the guy's like,
yeah.
He's like, yo, I don't think you should be doing that. And you look at the guy and he's like, are you on your last breath?
Forget it, dude.
You got to look at who you're listening to.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, I get my surgeries, my surgery one time. And I feel great. I feel
awesome.
incredible. But I didn't realize how much I was enduring. I was enduring where I was walking, tying a shoe, getting up off the toilet, like all that, like everything, like, and I thought this is just age, right? Because who could I talk to? Like most of my contemporaries or my uncles all gone. Like everybody, like my family all left really early. They had really shitty, healthy eating habits, and so like, you know, nobody's gonna know unless you do that. And going back, well, the reason for the story is that I took the time to analyze, investigate, and not cure, but remediate.
Find
what was my
solutions,
issue?
yeah.
Right, what was my issue? But that is just an example of how you have to approach your own life.
Yeah, there's I wanted to touch on something before I forget.
Yeah.
Of like who you're listening to, who you're getting advice from.
Oh, because everybody's talking.
It's crazy. And you're always gonna find a narrative for something. You know, like even if it's in regards to diet. Oh, the carnivore diet's the best. Oh, vegetarian diet's. It's like, dude, just figure out what works for you. But there's this trainer that comes into my gym. I live in this new building development. There's like this nice gym and whatever. So there's this couple that's they're residents of the property, and they have this trainer that comes in from the outside that trains them in our gym.
Okay.
This trainer is, and no disrespect or nothing, but like he is in 10 times worse shape than the two people that he's training. And I'm sitting there and it drives me freaking nuts.
So how's this happening?
My girlfriend knows, like, as soon as they walk in, she like looks at me and she like kind of smirks. Like she knows like it really bothers me inside. And it's nothing, it's not a knock against the guy, but it is a knock against the two residents of like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah,
like,
who are you listening to?
Who are you listening to? Where's the advice coming from? Like, you have to seek advice and counsel from people that are coming from a place of they've already done this before, or
doing it, or
they're further along the road that, you know, you want to travel.
Absolutely.
So it's so funny, man. It's just people, it's bizarre, but it all comes back to, I think, awareness, and like people are not aware of so many of these like little things, and like something like that screams at me.
Right.
But you know, you have to be intentional with what you're doing, what you're putting in your body, and you know, your output. So.
Well, how many times do you have that conversation where they're like, "Yo, I go to the gym all the time. Why don't I look like you?"
Yeah.
Do you have that
all the time?
Yeah.
But it's like, what are you doing in the gym?
What's the response? No, well, that's one, and then the second thing is like, what are you eating? That's the first.
Exactly.
Yeah, first question.
100%.
Like, oh well, you know, I was at the, you know, I'm a big basketball guy. Oh, we watched the game last night. We had wings. I was like, all right, stop right there.
There you go.
Stop right there. Stop right there.
Yeah. So like right now, I'm just finishing up the Whole30 diet, and
okay.
So I started the year off where December I took off from drinking, and I was like, I want to just take off 30 days. And this was like right after my dad died too. So I had some drinks, and then like, you know, there's a couple weddings around there, and like I was in a weird place, and I'm like, dude, this is not it for me right now.
It's not conducive to my
because
emotional state right now.
I know myself. I love getting after it, drinks and whatever. And I was like, I got to just chill for a sec. So I took December off, and I went down to Nashville with my girlfriend for New Year's. Her friend lives down there, and whatever. Got banged up New Year's Eve, and I woke up the next day. I'm like, God damn, I feel like shit. And
that's after 30 days off.
That was after 30 days off. The first night.
So your body's clean.
Yeah.
So
the couple we were visiting down there, and this will speak to just who you're surrounding yourself with and your community and, you know, your influences.
Right.
We woke up the next day. They're like, "Oh, we forgot to tell you, like, we're doing 75 hard starting
Right now,
January 1." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Okay."
Like now?
And for those of you who don't know what 75 hard is, it's 2 workouts a day. You have to follow a diet plan, no alcohol, no cheat meals, read 10 pages, like all this stuff.
It's a lifestyle reset.
100%.
Shout out to Andy Frisella. Shout out.
Shout out to Andy. Yeah. So we that day, I'm like, all right, me and my girl, like, let's do it.
Okay.
So me and Jackie are like, we're on board. So we were influenced by who we were with,
Right.
and from there on, we got to the point where I was hosting our first men's personal development summit. Which
Yeah, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that. Okay.
So Action Cultivates Excellence. Where am I at? Ace, right there.
Where am I at?
We had our first summit in
Okay.
February. It was President's Day weekend. So Dave was doing a 30-day dry January situation. So him and I both.
It just happened to kind of be at the same time.
Just aligned.
Right.
We didn't really talk about it, nothing.
Right.
But once we were at that point, we're like, oh, we're like 2 months out from the summit, whatever. We're like, dude, let's just do this up until the summit. Let's
stay
not
dry.
drink until the summit,
Mhm.
you know? So we challenged each other to do it, and Dave went beyond the January, 30-day deal. I kept going on my thing. I ended up failing 75 hard at the summit because I only did one workout on one day, whatever. But we
At
got
least you're accountable.
100%.
Okay.
We got to a point of we felt so damn good from not drinking
Mhm.
that we were like, yo, let's challenge each other the entire freaking year. So right now we're on a 365-day challenge of don't have one drink.
Okay.
And I feel freaking incredible, dude.
Yeah, you
And
probably feel fucking aligned.
oh my God,
yeah.
I am laser focused in, bro,
Yeah.
every day. But speaking back to what you were saying before about like, you didn't know you could feel this good. You didn't understand the pain you were dealing with every
Yeah,
day, the
yeah.
inflammation, the everything, the
Yeah.
aches. And all of that stuff, for me, I played college football. Like,
Right.
I wrestled my whole life. Like, I was banged up.
So you understand what pain is.
I know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
pain is,
yeah.
man. Like, it hurts. And on a daily basis for a long time, I've always dealt with this stuff. I've never felt better in my life in
Right.
the last couple months.
Just being dry.
Just being dry and following a cleaner meal
I
plan.
used that term this weekend. We were at a party, and they're like, "Come on, oh, like everybody's drinking. That's cool. I'm not saying don't drink. I'm like, yo, do you?
Yeah,
Do you
of
think?
course.
So like, hey, come on, you don't have to. I'm like, no, I'm dry. I'm staying dry. He looked at me like, what? I was like, no, just not drink, bro. I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm hanging. We're
Yeah,
good.
we're chilling, we're good.
I'm karaokeing. I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
but it's I don't want to say it's stigma, but it's definitely something that's different because
Yes.
most people, I don't know if it's peer pressure, but it's socially acceptable. And going back to what you said about influences and things that you see all the time, because they're used to doing that every weekend, they do it, and that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that. Do your thing. But then also, come summertime when we go on vacation, they're like, yo, oh, you look like a Marvel superhero. Why I look like that? I'm like, bro, you drink every day. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And if that's what you want, do your thing.
Of course, yeah.
But don't get mad about the work or the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. Like,
yeah.
you have to like check out your whole regimen, your
Yes.
life,
Correct.
and take into account. Be like, yo,
Yeah.
this is not really conducive to. Like, I want to be in better shape. Well, okay, we'll cut this and this out, and but I don't want to cut that out. Well, then you don't want to be in better shape. Like,
Yeah.
it's negatory.
Break it down.
Yeah, you're just negating your concepts,
Yeah.
but which is fine. I think the big thing is some people need to be told what to do, not to sound like I'm running for president here, but that's why they get trainers,
Mhm.
right? Like sometimes people feel more accountable to somebody else
There's nothing wrong with
than
that.
themselves.
You gotta know yourself.
Right.
You know? So
right,
like for
right.
me,
Because some people really have a bad relationship with it.
oh yeah.
Yeah, they really
But
hate
like I know for me sometimes, like I actually am a little bit nervous. I got one of my best friend's wedding in August.
Mhm.
And I'm going to this wedding and I know everyone's gonna be getting after it, whatever. And like that's the one test I think this entire year that I'm really gonna have.
it. Right.
And I'm not gonna,
Mhm.
but I just know it'll be a challenging day for
Right.
me. And it is what it is. But outside of that, like I've changed my circle up, man. And like that's another thing we could touch on is like
Yeah, talk about that.
you gotta be able to surround yourself with people that are on that same track as you.
Well, how do you
You
become
know?
aware of? For me personally, I can tell you that we're just kind of like not doing the same thing, so we're not running over each other.
Yes.
Really, that becomes
Yeah.
like I have certain friends. We go shooting together. I like shooting. Some play basketball together. Some bodybuild together. Some, like I have friends for different things.
Different buckets.
Yeah, like they
Yeah.
don't and. there's not one that hits them all.
Yeah.
And I guess that just it's an ode to my diversity. I like to do different shit.
Yeah, no, it's
My,
awesome.
my little sister, she's like, yo, you're like a 60-year-old white guy. You go swimming, you go shooting. I was like, no, I told her, I was like, look, but yo, this is the life I created.
Mhm.
Like, to me, this is normal,
Yep.
right? But she's like, yeah, but you came from the Bronx. I'm like, I know I came from the Bronx, but I just wanted to do certain things, and I wasn't allowing somebody else's definition of who I was be who I am. This is what I do. She was like, yeah, you go swimming on Thursday. I was like, yeah, that's what I do. That's
Creating the life
yeah,
you want.
Yeah, it's exactly it. It's exactly it.
But when you're in those communities, whatever you're doing, that's not odd to them because
that's what they
they're
do.
within that. Exactly.
That's what they do. Yeah, yeah.
So I think there's power to that. So it's like your question, how do you become aware of that stuff? It's like, all right, if you're looking at, okay, I want to be, let's say, I want to be a millionaire or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're chilling with dudes that are barely working, they're not doing shit, they're on the couch, going on vacation, they're smoking weed, they're doing this and that, then you want to be a millionaire. You wonder why you're not. It's because
odds are it's not going to happen there.
Odds are not. It's not going to happen.
Right,
your influences are bringing you down rather than propelling you forward.
Right.
So you got to be able to just look at your situation and be like, where am I at? Meet yourself with where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Find your starting point, and then from there, okay, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Figure out who's doing X, Y, and Z, and start surrounding yourself with
gravitating towards that. Yeah.
So the people that I'm surrounded with right now, I'm not drinking, and it's not weird because they're not either.
Right.
So it's totally cool. I don't have any pressures. I don't have any doubts, any feelings of like, oh, you should do this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But who's also to say you can't flip the script on whatever the status quo was? I'm part owner of a restaurant, and you go to restaurants to eat food and drink, right? Mm-hmm. I'm doing yoga on Saturday mornings at the restaurant. We're doing outdoor workouts and cold plunges on our patio.
Right.
It's a wellness space on the weekend mornings, which is crazy.
Right.
Nobody
It's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Why not flip the script? People love it.
You can create it. Right.
You could create it.
Well, tell me about it. You did a workout this weekend.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
It was amazing, man. We had a partnership with Boundless Nutrition.
Plug. Shameless plug.
Pleasantville, New York. Shout out to Amanda. Tommy Tank Tops over at the Body Blueprint in Pelham.
Okay.
And Melissa from Elevate Med Spa in Greenwich. So we had vitamin B12 injections. That's why I'm all charged up, feeling good today.
Okay.
We had some free giveaways. We had protein shakes, protein bars, all that stuff from Amanda, and then we also had a workout from Tommy that was led instructor for the whole class.
Okay, so that is in an attempt to build a community.
Yeah,
in Tarrytown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's under the ACE umbrella.
It's under ACE. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
let's talk about ACE then. Action creates. Cultivates excellence.
Correct.
Right. Where did that come from?
So that came from Dave and I did a podcast, his podcast, the No Snooze podcast.
Yeah.
We saw each other at a networking event, Tony Peck's.
Okay. TP, I know.
Yeah. We were over at Tony's spot over in, was it Pelham Bay? I think the golf outing last year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we met in July of last year. I haven't even known Dave for a year yet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we kind of just like connected there, and long story short, got on his podcast, and at the end of that show, we were like, we're meant to do more together. It was just, there was that vibe, that feeling.
Yeah.
So we stayed in touch, kind of connected, did a workout, and then we were like, let's figure something out here, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in the personal development space for 5 years. You've been doing No Snooze for 5 years. Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
So the idea of a retreat or like a men's summit came about.
Okay.
So,
and that's the one that happened November 14th.
that was different. This was February.
So all right. So February President's Day weekend, you said.
Correct.
What was the name of that?
It was the ACE Summit.
The ACE Summit.
So Action Cultivates Excellence Summit.
What was the goal of that?
The goal of that was to get 25 guys in a room for a weekend to really break them down and figure out all the messy shit that everyone has. Break them down, get it all out, feel the pain, and then build them back up.
Okay.
And we accomplished it. We really did. So we had guest speakers. We had Joe Girardi from the Yankees came and spoke to us.
That's great. Yeah.
We had Diamandi Alingos, international TEDx speaker, Christian Palmer, Vincent Maselli, serial entrepreneur. We had all these guys come in and speak to our group, but we had 3 different pillars. So it was ORTs, which is outdoor resilience training. So outdoor workouts. We were chopping wood. We were doing just crazy shit out in the woods up in New Paltz, New York.
Okay.
Did that. We had the VBDs, which was vulnerability breakthrough development. So that's where things got insane. I mean, it got real messy. We were talking about trauma from childhood.
Right.
messy things people never dealt with. Someone came out at the summit that day that it was their first day of attempting to become sober. They were addicted to drugs.
Wow.
Shout out to my guy. I'm not going to drop his name, but he's 94 days or something like that in right now.
Shout out to you, brother. Yep.
So since that summit, he's been sober. Crazy things came out, and it was a 2-hour discussion each day.
Okay.
With 2 different groups. Dave took a group, I took a group. And we opened up where I had a journal from the hospital and when my dad was dying.
Okay.
And I was actually at JFK when I got a phone call on Halloween night that my dad was in the hospital and you can't go to LA. I was going to see Brendan Bouchard at Milet speak out in LA that night.
Okay.
Got a phone call and my sister's like, don't board the plane. I'm like, what? 7:34 p.m. Never forget it. And the boarding was happening 4 minutes after that phone call.
Right.
So made a game time decision with my boy Matt Ramos. I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry, but I think this is
I can't go.
This is big. Like I didn't know like he was dying or anything, but it was like
you said it was sudden. I'm not trying to dig into it, but you said it was sudden. So he was
completely sudden.
He was chilling, and then
he was in Kentucky the week before. He was working on sales. He was chilling. 2 nights before we had cake for my brother's birthday. Same my brother's birthday. Had
so
birthday.
Totally blindsided.
Completely blindsided. Like there was no underlying conditions. Nothing.
Wow.
And he woke up one day and was like, I'm feeling a little shitty, like whatever. And like the way guys are a lot of times are stubborn. We want to get checked out.
Just gutted it out. Right.
He gutted it out for 2 days. And then he woke up the 3rd day and his stomach was like 3 times the size of what it normally is.
Wow.
And he's a big dude. Like, so it was like mind blowing to like see where it was at.
Right.
And it got to the point where like my younger sister was like, we gotta go to the hospital, Dad.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Went to the hospital. He was there at like 2 p.m. that day. And he was all good really during the day. It was like, all right, whatever, getting checked out, no problems. So I'm like, all right, I guess like I'm gonna go to this business conference still.
Yeah. You're thinking it's all good. Right. You think it's all good, right? It's handled.
So we get the phone call, and long story short, rush back to the hospital. I got my my luggage went out to California, but I had my carry-on and I had a notebook with me. So the entire night we were in the hospital for 26 hours, and I was taking like clips of time after spending like 2 hours with him, a couple hours with my family. I'll go to the stairwell in the hospital all throughout the night, and I'm journaling.
Right.
And just talking about my thoughts. And a lot of the times I was talking to him in the journal.
Right.
Talking, Dad, when you get out of this thing, like
conversations you want to have, right?
Exactly.
I got you. Right.
So, to wrap this all up, he ended up passing the next morning, and this was November 1st.
Wow.
And it was earth-shattering.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful that I had this journal when I was in the hospital because I was able to capture and grasp what I was thinking and going through. For me, the hospital was a big blur.
And to have those thoughts clear. Because
Clear.
you never, like you're in the moment.
No, you're not clear.
You're not going to be able to recollect that the way it really happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that has helped me a lot of looking back of like, damn, you were feeling like this. And this was, this was the internal conversation, doubt, scared, all this stuff.
Fear, yeah, absolutely.
I opened up that vulnerability breakthrough development session with a journal entry, reading it to the group of guys.
Right.
And the entire room, I mean, these are dudes that are like me and you, like successful dudes, like, beefed up, jacked up guys, some of these dudes, like animals on the surface, everyone's in tears.
Right.
Like crazy. And then Dave followed up with a conversation about his mother, and she had a alcohol addiction. It got really, really bad.
Right.
And he got to a really dark place with it, and he shared this whole story about that. So it really set the foundation for this is what we're about to do right now, guys.
Right.
We're getting deep, and you can feel safe. You can
getting
trust
real.
us.
Right.
So a long-winded analysis of the VBDs is vulnerability breakthrough development. Get everything out on the table. We get feedback. We have a conversation for each guy, and everyone gets the spotlight for a certain period of time.
Okay.
And you get some serious feedback and get to get all of your trauma, all of your crap out on the table for everyone to help
in a
you.
non-judgmental
Yeah, it was
situation.
super impactful all weekend. We had 3 of them, and the last pillar is ELTs, which is the expert-led training. So that was the guest speakers and all that stuff.
And what did they speak about? If you don't mind
all
asking.
different. So Vincent Maselli was his big thing was so he's opened up like I can't count it was 50, 60, something like that, like
Businesses?
startups,
Yeah.
like nuts. He's
Okay.
been a part of crazy stuff, and he's not even 40 yet. So
Wow.
he's a nut.
He's a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, shout out to Vin. He's
Shout out to Vince
he's the
Pacelli.
best, man. I love Vin. But he talked about just like, dude, nobody knows what they're doing.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
everyone's out here and like, you know, yeah, I've started XYZ amount of things and I've done this with this person, whatever. I'm still figuring it out, you know?
Yeah.
So he talked a lot about that, which was really, I think, important for guys to see.
Mm-hmm.
We had Joe Girardi talked a lot about faith, team building, love, compassion, respect, you know, family, all that stuff, and figuring out like what your big pillars in life should be. You know, your career doesn't have to be everything. Your family doesn't have to be everything either.
Right.
Like
you gotta figure out.
they should be very important, obviously, but like it's gonna be different for each person.
Right.
He talked a lot about that. Diamandi Alingos, she talked about, you know, the entrepreneur space for females and the flip side of the masculine energy, you know, so
that's big,
getting the feminine energy and all that stuff and balancing that a little bit, you know, figuring out how to deal with all that stuff, which all of us guys always need help with, figuring out the female brain.
Well,
you
people
know?
talk about like they talk about masculine and feminine energy as well as if they're binary, but they're not. The secret of it is that we have both within us.
Yes.
And we just have to acknowledge it. It's not like you're saying you're not. Going back to my word, I told you I always use it. It doesn't diminish you.
Yes.
It just just acknowledge it, man, and try to. You got to navigate it.
Yeah.
You got to navigate it. That becomes the thing, but. Especially growing up in certain households, me coming from a real Spanish household from, you know, Puerto Rico, is like, you know, the men were this way and and they drank and this and that and that. And I'm like, yeah, man, that shit don't work for me.
I don't subscribe to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't think that's working, bro. Now as I look back and see how it ended up for most of them, I was like, yeah, I was onto something, bro.
Yeah.
I was onto something. But like going like masculine, feminine energy, it's a big topic now. And also Girardi, man, he could have spoke about fucking balancing fucking egos too. Cause
he did.
Oh yeah,
he talked about the A-Rods of the world, Jeters.
That must have been the most challenging job.
He said, I think we asked, it was either me or Dave asked him a question of like, how do you deal with these powerhouse of, you know, these
personalities,
superstar figures, you know? And he's like, you got to love them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I had a lot of guys that weren't lovable. He's like, there's a lot of guys that you try your best and sometimes it's not enough. And if, you know, for you and that person, it doesn't work out. And he said, you know, but you put your best foot forward. But if you don't love them, and this goes back to John Maxwell, one of my favorites and leadership expert. His quote is, people don't care what you know until they know that you care. Right. So, you know, to build that trust and that level of, you know, digestion of whatever you're trying to tell them, you have to care for them first. And Joe put that in terms of love them, you know?
Right. No, absolutely. Well, people, it becomes like, I saw something on Instagram the other day and I was like, what? People actually say that shit? Like, they're like, oh, don't tell people your secrets and and like, all right, look, if you got to hide a body, I get it. Don't tell people that secret. But, going back to my word, man, like, yo, telling people like things that like fuck with your head doesn't diminish you, bro. Like you got and go. I think this also kind of retracts back or actually leads back to what you were saying about acknowledging your pain. Like, yo, it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Yo, I don't think I'm the best father. That's a statement. And yo, why do you think that? And you know, you could talk that out, right? And being the best father has so many different fucking definitions. Mm-hmm. You ask 10 different people, you'll get 10 different answers, 100%. Right? So like, what is that for you? And that becomes, all right, so that's how you break it down. It really, it's so simple. What do you need, right? Write that out. What do you need? And then you go from there. Now, what do you need as a husband, as a father, as a CEO, as a business partner, as a like.
And my list is gonna be completely different than your list.
Right.
And that's okay.
But most people don't even know to start there.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, I'm just mad. Why are you mad? Well, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Did you tell him? Now he should know. There's the issue, right? There's the issue.
Expectation.
The expectation of the unknown. Like, bro, like you gotta open that up. Like, you know, like I've had business partners in different businesses. Some went well, some didn't. And you know, like I've always done things from a good place. I've never been, and maybe I would be farther along if I did. I've never been that guy like trying to angle somebody. I'm like, yo, this is what it is. We go this way, we go this way, we go this way. If we go this way, this is what it is, it is, it is. I'm willing to do this. If you're willing to do this, I'm willing to do this. And pick your poison. There you go. You got 3. And whatever it is, of course, we all have what we want it to be, but it's going to be what you decide because it's a relationship.
Yeah.
It's a relationship between 2 men, 2 women, 2 whatever. We have a common goal, but we have to use our strengths to amplify each other and synergize, not drag. I use this, another thing I use all the time is that I don't want to pull. We got to push together.
Correct.
I don't want to pull, and that becomes the give and take, and that you can use that to marriage. You can use that you can use that with everything. Like you got to figure it out. You got to have that talk, and you got to be really real with yourself. Because sometimes you can't even tell people what we really feel because we haven't really thought about it. We just know we feel.
Yeah.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
We just I'm fucking mad. Why are you mad?
Yeah. Break it down.
Yeah. You're like, but I think we spoke about it earlier, and I spoke to somebody about this yesterday. I was like, yo, man. We're all carrying luggage.
100%.
Right? So I use that metaphor. We're all carrying luggage. Some is heavier than others.
Oh, yeah.
And some we don't need for this trip, right? Some, just leave that shit there. That shit doesn't apply. Mm-hmm. But sometimes people are carrying that shit. Going back to that whole, you won $1 million thing, I'm like, what? I was like, bro, like, you really not looking at the right thing. The other story I told you off camera. Yo, you're up 100. You didn't lose 250. You lost 150. Think of it that way. You only lost 150,000, not 250. You're still ahead. Yeah. Now, if you would took the total L, but you don't understand. I was like, no. I understand. I negotiated the whole fucking thing. Yeah. I'm trying for you not to see it the right way, bro. I was like, in a court of law, I told him, yo, you can take legal fees. You can take. I'm a pro at what I do. I'm giving you advice. I'm trying to help you, and I navigated it the best I could in really bad situation, but. Going back to what I said, I was like, you have to see it the right way. You have to have the right mindset, man. Like, the guy's like, no, he got me. I was like, no. You got yourself. Yeah. I was like, you my man, we're boys, but we taking this to the side. You got yourself. I'm still trying to make it not a total L for you. And not in a, like, I told him there's no ulterior motive. I'm not getting paid for it. I could walk away. Mm-hmm. And, good luck, right? But I didn't. And that just goes back to who I am, right? I don't want you to ever say, hey, Omar was involved and, he just left me by myself. I'm going to always walk with you. And I think that's a testament to who I am because a lot of people in a lot of different businesses, they'll be like, yo, man.
Hit it and quit it.
Yeah, I'll see you later. That's a great one. Yep. That's a high school term I haven't heard in a long time. Yeah.
But like for this specific situation, you've presented everything to him and you've tried to make him become aware. So like, you're not going to be able to your point, you might not be able to pull him, and you don't want to pull him. Right. You want to be able to push together with him. But something I touch on a lot is exposure, awareness, action. Okay. So someone needs to be exposed to something before they become aware of it. So absolutely. Like the coffee that we're drinking right now. We just went to the coffee place over there. I've never been there before.
Shout out to Mimi's.
Shouts to Mimi's. I've never been to Mimi's before, so I'm exposed to Mimi's. Right. Damn, Mimi's got the best coffee. I'm aware of it. Now I can go or not go, you know? So like it could be with anything in life. But if you're not exposed to it, you can't become aware to it. And then at that point, you're either taking an action on something or the inability of taking an action. Right. There's two separate things there, But you don't want to drag people and pull people.
And you're not even touching on. You try to expose people. Like I say this all the time too. You can't save everybody, right? No. I can expose everybody to everything. Yeah. Some people don't want to hear it. They don't care.
And you did your part.
This is the best phone. This is the best. No, it's not. No, it's not. All right. I know it is. Yeah. But if you don't think it is, it's not for you, right? And then the part that gets crazy is like, you're like, yo, I don't understand how you don't see this, right? It's bright as bright as day for me. It's like clear as day. What's going on? But some people will not see it. No, they will not see it,
and that's okay.
And that's not your fault, right? That because I think I'm talking to you, but I'm therapizing myself. I'm like, that's not your fault. It's not my fault. I told you this is what it is.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, in your case, like the real estate world, let's say, like you've got these sick deals that you could, make X, Y, or Z returns on and all that stuff. And you present this stuff to someone who's got a lot of money that wants to invest and whatever. If he doesn't take action on it, it's like, dude, I did my part. Like, I can't do this. Like,
it's not your fault. And then the other part of that paradigm is that in my business, I'll present it. I'll be like, oh, I think you should do it, right? Like, no, it's not a good time for me. Or I don't believe it. I'm like, okay. Then I've done it. Then I'll be like, you know what? Maybe I can make something happen. I make it happen. Then 2 years later, yo, man. And I'll sell it and make whatever. And they're like, yo, motherfucker. I'm like, yo, yo, motherfucker, I
told
told you
you.
first. But I told you first.
Yeah.
I told you first. And I really had the best intentions.
Yeah.
But you didn't see it.
Yeah.
I saw it and I believed in it. I did what I had to do, got it. I executed.
Yep.
I executed the fuck out of it. And now I'm up.
Yep.
And now you're mad. I was like, yo, man, like.
That's on you, dog.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because you try to, I don't want I use it, I try to save everybody. I just try to, this is a good word. I try to expose everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, this is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Like I had a long conversation with a friend of mine one time and they were like, oh, I want to put it was for a car. I want to put this amount of money down. I'm like, okay, cool. I was like, why? Why will my payment be less? I said, okay, cool. I said, all right, so let's do this. I did the math. I said, well, if you do this and lease it and you put this amount of money down, you're only saving per year. I broke it down. It was like $3,600 for 3 years for the lease, whatever. And she was keeping $5,000 in her pocket. I was like, so where's your win?
Yeah.
I thought of it that way. Oh, which is cool, which is all right because that's what I do. I mess with money all day. So I kind of like see how the patterns and all that works and I try to expose them.
Yeah.
Some of them will take to it and other people just don't care.
Yeah, which is fine. And it's I think a lot of the times, like for me, I feel this is like I'm doing it from a good place.
Yeah.
You know, and like I'm trying to help you. This is not for me. You know, like for Ace, like I want everyone to be a part of Ace. I want everyone to be exposed of like the beauty of this growth that you can experience if you're really able to invest in yourself and take action on this stuff. I've tried so hard for some people that I know need it.
Right.
You
they just don't see it.
What's the you could lead
the horse to water,
to
can't make him
water.
drink. Can't make him drink. Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
and that's okay. But to your point, like you said, like with the deal, 2 years later, you sell it. All these, you know.
Yo, Sean, you up, man? What the fuck is this?
Yeah,
I've been telling you about it.
Been telling you, bro.
Or I think the best one also, this has happened to me too, where I'll tell you, not you, but somebody like you, right? And I'll tell him, and I'll tell him, and one of them takes action, right? And then they'll hear, yo, you didn't tell me about that. I was like, bro, I told all of you about it. I told all of you guys about it.
Your ears were closed.
We bought this building, and now we up, and now like you're like, I don't understand. I was like, but I told you. Yeah. So like, yeah. I mean, look, on my side too, the first multifamily building I bought, 21 unit, it went kind of like this. My boy, he has about 200 units in Mass. He calls me up, yo, oh, this is what happened. We're the real estate broker on the deal. He's like, yo, oh, the buyer is full of shit, right? I'm not gonna go into too much detail because they'll put together who I'm talking about, and then I'll get some hate mail. The buyer's full of shit. He can't pull the trigger. We're in contract for 1.6 for 21 units. Appraisal came back at $2 million. You know what that is? Appraisal?
Yeah.
Right. So the appraisal, there's $400,000 in equity the day you close. He don't have it. I say we do it. So I'm like, all right, well, who's we? He's like, this guy. He's like, we each got to put up this amount of money. I had just bought my house. I was like, bro, I got this. I don't got the whole thing right now, but I got this right now. I could wire today. He's like, all right, fuck it, do it. I'll front the rest. Get it to me before 12 months or whatever the number was. And that to me is a friend. Like he's putting you on and like, yo, I wish I could. I'm just being transparent.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's like that's how it works.
100%.
It's not like yo, da, da, da. But then again, I'm working. I was being involved in something I work with all the time, so I totally understood it. Right? Like if you would have, well, then again, you know what? I'll give you this other story. I got a call during COVID. My boys, they're in the digi game, like everything social and NFTs and da da da. Okay. So like, yo, we're gonna get into this project. I'm like, okay. He's like, you should buy one. We're all buying. I said, all right. How much? 5,000. All right, fine. 5,000. I don't even know how to buy it. It was an NFT, right? How do you buy it? He was like, I'll buy it. Send him the money now. Then so he buys it. I send him the money. I open up a crypto wallet. I do all that. I become educated because I already committed to something.
Okay.
2 years later. So then, like a few months later, there's a spike, and I was like, yo, it's time to sell. You know, one of my guys bought like 15 of them. He doubled his money. He was good. I was busy making money in real estate, so I just paid no attention. So then last year, go through some things, and you know, things aren't moving the way they usually move for me. So I'm like, all right, shit, what do I have? I gotta sell something. so I'm like, oh, that fucking NFT, like I get my $5,000 back, right? I'm like, great, perfect. So I go online, I hit my boy up. I'm like, yo, that NFT. He's like, you didn't sell that? I was like, nah. He's like, okay, hold on. He goes, yo, bro. He goes, floor rate. I don't know if you know what that is, floor rate.
Floor rate? No.
Yeah, all right. So I'll break it down. So my floor rate when I bought it was 5. That was the minimum people were buying it for, right? Minimum. So that was it. That was the number, right? My floor rate was 50 now.
50?
Yeah. 50,000. I was like, what? He's like, yo, you up, bro? So
damn.
Sometimes taking action. So I sold it. I still didn't believe because this is something totally alien to me. So, you know, you got to sell it on OpenSea, it's called. These are a lot of terms. OpenSea, you put it on. You put it on for sale. Somebody bids on it. You okay it. Then they send the money to your crypto wallet. It's still not real, right? Because you haven't seen. Like to me, I'm like, oh, bet word. All right, 50,000. All right, cool. So let me send some to my Chase account. Let me see if it's real. So when it hits, I'm like, oh, this shit is real. Like, you know, like, and I'm just giving you my experience. Like, oh, this shit is real. Like, like I could touch it, feel it. God. I'm like, yo, so now I'm all about that now. Yeah. But just to give you an example of great, dude. How you're doing stuff, and you're like, who knows? And you're kind of skeptical, and you're like, whatever. Oh my God. Dude. So yeah, man. So it could be something you know about, something you don't know about. Yeah. You just gotta have good people.
There's also, but like, there's times in your life that you're not going to be able to receive and digest whatever's being told, and that's okay.
Absolutely,
but like, you can't be mad about it later.
Right. Yeah. So my other boys are mad. They're like, "Yo, you just sold it? Oh shit, man! If I would have held." And my other boys were like, "Yo, bro, you left money on the table." I was like, "Yeah, I get it." I was like, "But I needed." I needed 5,000, but I got 50. So I said, I'm up right now. I'm good. Like he's like, yeah, in a couple. I was like, yeah, that's cool, man. So whatever, I'll buy something else later. Yeah. But the moral of the story is that if you have good people with you, directing you, there's a little bit of faith, a little bit of luck, but always execution.
Oh, yeah.
Execution predetermines everything. Yeah. And that's what most people don't understand. Like, you have to be doing something.
Yeah. I think there's so many just content, just consumers. I'm taking everything.
You're either a consumer or a creator. You have to decide who you want to be.
Gotta get after it at some point. Yeah. You know, you gotta be able to do something. And just to your point of like, people helping you along the way, maybe, and you know, that are more knowledgeable in NFTs or whatever the hell it is.
Specialists. Everybody's a specialist.
Of different things that you're not aware of. Like Dave and I, when we started Ace, we had so many like big name people that we were able to touch quickly. Okay. And there was people that were super receptive to it, that were able to push us forward and help us, and were willing to
point you in the right direction. Right.
There was other guys that were like, yo, man, nah, like I'm not, you know, I'm not cool with this, whatever.
Why? They see you as competitors?
I think so. I think they felt a little threatened and stuff. Right. And that's that scarcity mindset, really. But it's like the people that did help us, you know, move forward, push us forward in the right direction, connect us with this guy and that guy. Like, even Jay, dude. Like, shouts to Jay Lacayo. Like, Jay has connected us with so many damn people. And, like, he was a friend already, but, like, his connections and his willingness to connect really was like monumental for Dave and I with a lot of these different people that we're with now. Yeah. And there's so many other guys, like I'm not going to go into it, but they have been willing to help us. And what has happened since then, value has been, you know, returned like tenfold to them. Right. Because you became a friend of ours now. And, you know, whenever you're in my circle, you're in Dave's circle with this stuff that we're doing now, like we are indebted to you, we feel, you know, like if you're able to put some pieces together and stuff. Yeah. The other guys, it's like, dude, whatever, you run your own lane, that's fine. And I'm not mad about it. It's all good. But when I'm at that point, like even now, I help a lot of different people that I'm further along the path that they want to be on. Right. When I'm on that journey and that road, I'm always going to lend that hand to help if you're willing to, you know, execute and take action.
Do your part, right? That becomes that. Do your part. Like everybody say, oh, you didn't tell. I was like, yo, this is what you do. These are the steps. This is what I do. Like I had a conversation the other day. I was like, yo, I'm gonna do this like that. I'm gonna beat you. I was like, yo, bro, bet. You want to do what I do? You want perfect. Listen, wake up at 4 o'clock. Do this, and this. Work this and this. As an entrepreneur, there's no promise of getting paid. Nope. Do that for 20 years, and then maybe. Yeah. And then maybe.
There's no guarantee.
It could go well. Could go right. Guarantee. But that's the fucking specter that everybody's scared of. Like, oh, there's no guarantee. No, there's no guarantee. Yeah. But there's no guarantee of anything. Though. Yeah. There's no. But yeah, how much you believe in yourself? How much you willing to endure? That became another topic that we talked about. A couple of my friends, and I was like, yo, you to be the CEO, you have to have the widest smile and deal with the most shit. Basically, you're carrying the heaviest weight with the biggest smile. That's all it is. But you don't get to be the CEO from day one because you don't have the skills and you don't have the understanding because there's, you know, like not to, like in any industry, there's so many levels to it. You got to understand it. If everybody left tomorrow, I could do everybody's job, but that's the part of being the CEO, right? Like, yo, I could be the janitor or I could be the delivery man. I can actually I could do it all. And that's why you're vetted to be this guy because you can do all of them. And most people want to skip to the top and there's no elevator.
Forget about the work.
There's no elevator.
Yeah.
You got to walk up the steps.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a hollow shell. Even
Right.
like my cleaning company, we started in 2017, and like this is like on a kind of a crazy scale because like people aren't usually doing this, but like we were cleaning toilets. Like me and my business partner, we're scrubbing goddamn toilets. Like yo, like
till we get employees.
My my daytime job, I was the leader of that company, that division, and I'm leading these guys. And then nighttime, I'm going to this doctor's office and blah blah, and I'm scrubbing toilets, I'm washing floors, I'm doing all this stuff. I had to understand everything in order to really have perspective for when I had a team built.
Right.
And I didn't. It took a long time. It took like 4 or 5 years for me to really like get something where I was like, I could like step away a little bit from this now. Right. And now I'm like 7.5 years in. And I'm chilling. Like I'm at a place where systems are in place. I have a team in place, but they all respect me because they know I've been through this already. I fully understand where they're coming from when they say this is broken or I need this thing. Cool. Sometimes you need this, sometimes you don't. Mm-hmm. And I'm able to really make that decision because I've walked that path before.
Right.
You know, and same thing for you.
You have context, right? You have you've actually done the work.
Yeah.
Right. That becomes the thing. Like people respect that, but sometimes when they don't see you doing it, I think the most respect they have is the people that have seen you on the come up. Like they were like, yo, I remember when it used to be like I used to work at a restaurant. I go to the restaurant all the time. I'm really good friends with the owner, and I do all of his finance and real estate shit. I was a busboy. I was 15, 16 years old. I'm 49 now. There's some guys that I went in being a busboy with that are still there. And they seem like I'm the guy who made it, right? They're like, oh, I'm like, what's up, man? Like, they're like, yo, man, the leadership. And I can relate, right? Because I've been all these things, right? Like I think relatability is key, especially in life, because you have to be able to see it from somebody else's perspective to really appreciate it. Whether you agree with it or not, that's another conversation. Yeah. But to appreciate somebody else's perspective is incredible. All right, so ACE, action cultivates excellence, right? What's the end goal for it? What is the
global, baby? Global.
All right, but what are we trying to do? Like, we're trying to put together entrepreneurs. We're trying to put together just good people. No,
good. I mean, any people, to be honest. So we're a personal development brand, a global personal development brand, which we're speaking into existence.
Love it.
We really just are looking to help people, man. Like, you know, to the point of what I was saying before, like the summit the big goal was to break people down and build them up.
Right.
Now we're doing these monthly events. I've done these personal development events over at my girlfriend's family's place in Eastchester, Gigantes. Okay. I've done those for 4 years.
It's a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I did that for 4 years prior to starting ACE. Okay. And it was a monthly dinner that I was hosting with another guy, and he ended up phasing out a little bit. But it was literally just to get guys together. I would go around the room. Everyone gets their turn. What's a recent win and a recent loss or struggle? I don't really like the word loss, but like a struggle that you're
pain
dealing
point.
With.
Yeah.
And also the intros. So like that was another thing that we're incorporating now is like get a mic in front of your hand because people get shook when they have a mic.
Nervous. Yeah.
You got to be able to present yourself, have a clear, concise elevator pitch of who you are, what you do, your business, whatever it is, because attention spans they're gone right now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Those were like basically two big pillars of what I was doing for a long time. We transitioned into ACE, where we've introduced the ACE dinners now. We've got one tomorrow night. And it's you start the dinner off with you get a buffet dinner with over at the Sailhouse, and then everyone goes around the room. They get the mic, they get center stage, 30 seconds to a minute, who you are, what you do, and then usually we'll field like a question, and you kind of put people on the spot a little bit, and you see the guys in these moments where like in the beginning they're nervous, they're scared, they hate it. Second, third time, they're looking forward to that challenge.
They got prepared.
What's the question now? And, you know,
is there a question?
Yeah, and it's cool to see it, you know, because it's like, damn, that's confidence.
The evolution.
That's building. You know, that we're seeing progress here.
Yeah.
So we do that. We break out into 2 different groups, and you know, we discuss different topics. There's a question of the night usually, and so that's on a monthly basis. We do an outdoor workout now, which is a co-ed outdoor workout.
Cool.
So we do a 7:30 a.m. cold plunge. This is a Sunday morning, once a month. Shout out to Joe K, Nick Menente from Ice and Iron. So they do a cold plunge with their ice barrels. You know, it's freezing water, and you know, you got all these different guys and women getting in these barrels, cold tubs.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother, you know, ball of wax of like people getting these damn things, and they're like their face changes. And they're like
cold.
They're like, holy shit. and you could see the point of
It-
when they're
and it's so
locked in.
cold, it feels like it's fucking burning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I want, because I've done it.
Oh yeah.
People don't understand. Like, you go, like, you're like, yo, it feels like my body's on fire. And then it goes
Yeah.
numb. Then it goes numb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a certain point where you see people lock in, and their face will, like, it's like a glazed over, like, stoic look almost of where they're like, and it's like, damn, there it is, right there. That's when you're locked in, and then that's a change that, you know, sparks within them. But so we do a 7:30 cold plunge, we do an 8:30 a.m. workout, a 9:30 a.m. brunch.
Okay.
On a monthly basis, that's what we're doing. We're doing a summit in November, so our second summit of the year, which is going to be up in New Paltz. So we got a private estate. There's like 5 houses on the estate.
Nice.
A lake in the backyard that's just for our crew for the weekend.
Awesome.
So we do cold plunging in that lake. We do workouts in the woods. We do all that stuff.
Okay.
We're looking to take these summits global. You know, I want to do my next one in our next one in Tulum, Mexico.
Oh, nice.
I'm eyeing this spot down there that I really, really want to do it at. So
Okay.
we're looking to go all over the place. And the end goal really is to impact millions of lives. That's really what it is. And every morning I pray for that. You
That's
know,
dope,
when
man.
I do
That's
my
dope.
prayers in the morning, I say, you know, God, thank you. I talk to my father, and I ask both of them to help me, give me the strength, give me the tools and the platform to impact millions of lives.
That's awesome. I mean, it's coming from the right place.
Yeah.
Right? It's coming from the right place. So
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. I think I want to go to one of your dinners if I'm invited, or if I have to, whatever.
100%.
Let
No,
me
you're
know.
in, bro.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it a lot. I want to thank you for coming on the show. I think that I think we covered a lot of stuff today. If there was one thing that you want people to remember from this conversation, what would it be?
It's a really good question.
Do you want me to go first, or you go first?
You take it first.
All right.
I want to make sure I'm.
If there's one thing I want people to remember, is that you are multifaceted. So what that means is that there's so many different parts of you, and it's okay. You have to embrace them. You have to use what the conversation George already said. You have to love them. I mean, some of them you feed, some of them you I don't want to say famine. But you don't encourage it, because there's different parts of us that we can't all be proud of. But accept who you are, and then you can move forward to who you want to be. But if you're not even looking at who you are, how are you going to get to the best version of you if you're not even looking at a real version of you? So accept who you are, where you're at right now, and move forward to where you want to go.
Love that.
Yeah.
I think I'll piggyback off that and just say we're all different, like you said, and you need to be able to walk your own path. You know, everyone's path is different. So
Absolutely.
if you're looking at you, if I'm looking at you and saying, you know, I want to do XYZ in real estate, and damn, I was doing that, but, you know, why can't I do that? Whatever. Dude, everybody's different.
Yeah.
And so take away from this episode, walk your own path, you know, and if you're dealing with something, everyone's dealing with something. Feel the pain, feel the hurt, find passion, find fulfillment, and move forward.
And find good people.
Community.
I think it's big.
Community.
I think it's big. Like, sometimes
Huge.
look around who you're talking to, and that'll
Huge.
usually give you a reflection of why you think the way you think.
Yeah.
Right? Where can people contact you if they need you?
Sean.Degman at Instagram, and A Sanctuary, the Sailhouse of Tarrytown. So all over the map, cleaning, AI1 solutions. But yeah, just pushing good things into the world, man. And, you know, I appreciate you, bro.
No, absolutely. Thanks for
Conversation's
coming.
amazing, man. You're
Yeah,
a
I
good
think it
dude.
was pretty good, man. It was pretty good. I didn't know what to expect, but I like what we did. I like what we
hell
did
yeah.
here.